Welcome back along the Wolf Trail. Today we are at Bicentennial Park in Stockton, where we're going to be talking about the winter's hunt and the early creeks in Alabama from 1720 to 1770. In today's video, I really wanted to talk about the creek attire during the winter's hunt. I wanted to talk on a little bit on the hunting practices and a little bit on their background of their hunting, but really I just really wanted to key in on the things that they would have had or the things that they would have taken with them on their winter's hunt. In the early 1700s, the Creeks would establish hunting camps somewhere between 25 and 30 miles away from their village, or sometimes even far north as the Tennessee River and even as far south as we are today in the Tensas region. In these hunting camps, you'd be able to see hunting shelters like the one in this picture right here. It's a Von Wreck image. It really shows you what a lean-to shelter would have looked like, probably with some canvas draped over it or even some palmetto bushes, something to cover them while they were on their winter's hunt. You can also see a hunting camp very similar to this on display at Fort Toulouse during Frontier Days. The lands around their hunting camps, they would manage it by burning. This would enhance wildlife population, and it would also help the conservation efforts. New sprouts would sprout up and it would keep the underbrush wide open. Bartram's quote on burning goes as, "While my fellow travelers were employing themselves in collecting firewood and fixing our camp, I improved the opportunity in reconnoitering our ground and taking my fusil with me. I penetrated the grove and afterwards entered some almost unlimited savannas and plains, which were absolutely enchanting. They had been lately burnt by the Indian hunters and had just now recovered their vernal verdure and gaiety." When the Creeks weren't in their hunting camps, they would spend the non-hunting season, which was from March until September, doing agriculture work in their towns. That would benefit them in the long run by being able to put corn in their granaries. Granaries were stationed at these hunting camps in order to give them a supply of corn, of dried corn, throughout the hunting season. The British invasion on Creek lands, this forced the Creeks to become commercial deer hunters. It took them away from hunting for food strictly and for their clothing, and it took them into a whole different route. When the Creeks became commercial hunters, it opened up new doors for them. It opened up trade routes with the British and the French, hence French Fort Toulouse that was stationed there specifically for trade. In today's video, I'm going to go over some of the trade goods that they would have received from the French and from the British for the deer skins that they had to trade and to offer these people. The first thing that I want to show you is some different types of headwear that they would have had. The most common one, as the 1700s progressed on up into 1790 and the early 1800s and even up into the mid 1800s, is what I have on today, which is a turban style that they would wrap around. It was mostly a cravat. I've seen documentation of some beaded hand-woven sashes that they would wrap around their head. And I have two ostrich plumes that was obviously brought to me by the British on some trade. The turban that I'm wearing today is sort of a demonstration of the John Trumbull images that were done in 1790 of the Creeks. There's 4 pictures that I'm going to show you here, and they all 4 have different style turbans on. This is just how I wear mine. There's tons and tons of different ways to wear them, but this is mainly based off of the Trumbull images in 1790. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is this piece right here. This piece right here is fully beaded, and in Bartram's sketch in the 1770s, he sketched out a picture of the Lone Warrior, and the Lone Warrior had one very similar to this. My buddy Will made this for me. It's a heddle woven band. It's very, very similar to the one that the Lone Warrior had, but it has ostrich plumes and it has a stem right here of river cane. Bartram's quote says, "A very curious diadem or band, about 4 inches broad, wrought or woven, curiously decorated with stones, beads, wampum, porcupine quills, etc. Encircles their temples, the front peak of which is embellished with a high-waving plume of crane or heron feathers." The next piece that I want to talk to you about is this young buffalo bull's horn headdress. James Adair, in his quote, he describes the Cherokee warriors wearing one very similar to this, and there's a sketch too that I'm going to drop of a Creek warrior wearing one very similar as well. War leaders must also make 3 successful wolfish campaigns before he is admitted to wear a pair of young buffalo bull's horns on his forehead and with the same animal's tail sticking up behind him. 1775. As we go up in time period, I would say this is the earliest. This is during the Bartram era. So, you know, I mean, I don't know how early these came into style, and if somebody knows, please let me know. But as far as Bartram sketch was in the 1770s, so you know, you got anywhere from 1720 to 1740, 50, and then Bartram's era, which is the 1770s. And then the turban like I'm wearing today, you know, is from 1790s on up into the mid 18th century or 19th century. The leggings that I have on today are made out of blue Stroud cloth. My buddy Levi made these for me as well. If you've seen some of my stuff, he's made some of it, and he's really good at what he does. But these are blue. They came in blue, red, green, yellow, but most of the time they were blue or red. In these sketches that I'm going to show you, you can see the creeks and the Uchis. They would have the blue and the red. Some of them would have the single band going across the front, and some of them would have 2 bands going across them. Or I've seen them with just a white band going across the edge of it. But my leggings are wool. They would also have leather leggings. Leather leggings stayed in style all the way up through 1815 as far as my documentation goes, and I'm sure they go even further than that. But the leg is furnished with cloth boots. They reach from the ankle to the calf and are ornamented with lace, beads, silver bells, etc. The trade shirt that I have on today is a ruffled front, light linen shirt that is based off of Bartram's quote. Sometimes a ruffled shirt of fine linen next to the skin and a flap which covers their lower parts. This garment somewhat resembles the ancient Roman breeches or the kilt of the Highlanders. It usually consists of a piece of blue cloth about 18 inches wide. This they pass between their thighs, and both ends being taken up drawn through a belt around their waist. The end falls down one before the other behind, not quite to the knee. This flap is usually painted and indented at the ends and ornamented with beads, tinsel lace, etc. All right, so now let's dig into my bedroll for the winter's hunt. To start off, I have my bedroll rolled up intact by just this rawhide tump line. A tump line I feel like is so versatile, but the early creeks in the Von Wreck images, you're able to see they have a deer skin that's rolled up and tied at the top and thrown over the back and used as a bag. But also I wanted to say that the creeks not all the time were on foot. Most of the time they were on horses, so they were able to have the horses carry some of their things, and it wasn't just thrown on their person. But anyways, today I have this bedroll with this rawhide tump line, and I'm gonna go ahead and untie it for you and show you what I got in here. So in my bedroll, I have, as you can see, I have an extra shirt, I have an extra pair of moccasins, I have an extra breechcloth, and I have my leather leggings in here, as well as this London duffel blanket by Rob Stone, and I have this blue Stroud cloth that is also used, that I use for my leggings. But I have this all tucked in here into this this bedroll, typically specifically to carry, you know, while I'm on the trek to the winter's hunt, which, like I said earlier, could be anywhere from 25 to 30 miles, or it could be, you know, over 150 miles. So a long trek with, you know, minimum clothes, and these are trade goods too that, you know, I could have gotten from the British as I traded deer skins for all of this stuff. So let's dive into some accoutrements that I have now, and I'll go ahead and lay it out on this buffalo robe for you guys. Their equipment consists of a bear skin, which they use as a bed, a buffalo hide, which serves as a blanket, a cat skin in which they keep their pipes, and a little axe, which is useful for building shelters in the woods. So in this trade sack right here, I have some of my super important things that I would have used on the winter's hunt, and I would have liked to have with me on the winter's hunt. Move these arrows real quick. So the first thing that I'm gonna grab out of here is just got me just a tin cup that I could have got from the deerskin trade. I have my sewing kit, which is just a sewing awl and a needle in this River Cane storage container. This could have been used for as far as anything goes, as you know, ripping holes in your clothes, wearing out of your moccasins and having to repair them or make a new pair, just things like that. The next thing I have in my trade sack is just a simple fork and knife set for eating during the winter's hunt and along the trail. The most important thing I have in here is my fire starting set. This is some hemp rope and my flint and steel. I also have some char cloth in here. I know there's some controversy with char cloth, but if char cloth wouldn't have been used, then like I said, I've got some super dry and fine meshed up hemp rope in here as well. I have my salt horn. Meat on the trail could be super tasteless or super gamey, and if you wanted to, deplenish the game taste, or you wanted just to add a little bit of spices to your meat or to the food that you're eating, you could have had some salt, and I would have put it in this. This is an original salt container as well, but I would have stuck it in here. I have a pewter plate, and I would have got this on the trade as well, just like I got my tin cup. And I have some candles, and I have some spoons, and I also have just a wooden bowl here. That's what I just would have carried in this just basic plain trade sack, and most of that stuff would have been carried on the horse during the winter's hunt, but in this case I just have it in that trade sack. The next thing that I want to show you is this trade kettle. This trade kettle was super prominent in the trade with the French and the British as well, and this is something that was quintessential to the Creeks as the transformation took place and as the deerskin trade took place. So I definitely would have tried to pack this on my horse or pack it in my bedroll in some shape, form, or fashion. The next thing that I want to go over is weapon selection on the winter's hunt. There's a quote that I'm going to read to y'all about the weapons that the Arkansas Indians would have used. That is by Bossou. But the Creeks was in the deerskin trade at the time, and if they could acquire a rifle or a smoothbore musket of some sort, they would have done that as well, just because of how easy it made hunting versus as the original with the bow. But on the winter's hunt, if I was to be going on it, I would have taken both options. I would have had my rifle and I would have taken my bow. This rifle right here is my newest piece. It's a Jim Chambers 58 caliber. It is absolutely beautiful. My mentor gifted me this just this past week, actually. So I would have definitely liked to have this on the winter's hunt, with it being such a good caliber, especially for deer hunting. So I know I spoke on the bow a little bit and how the Creeks would have still utilized it for hunting as well. But I have just a bundle of arrows right here that some of them are made out of hickory and some of them are made out of river cane. The river cane is the most prominent that the Creeks would have used, but given the circumstances of not being, you venture off of some rivers and you run away from the river cane, some hickory shafts would have done as well. I don't have a quiver right now. I'm in the process of making an otter quiver, so I just have these, just kind of tucked in here for demonstration purposes. But I have a whole lot of my arrows, and I have my bow as well. Some of the Creeks bows were super long, and some of them were not as long. I think it was all preference. I don't think every Creeks bow was the same. In my preference, I like a shorter bow. I know my friend David Hobbs, he's got a little bit longer of a bow, but in my preference, I like a shorter styled bow. So I have my bow here too. The next closest thing I have to a weapon is the axe. This is just a simple trade axe that I could have got from the deerskin trade with the British or the French, and I would have had it tucked in my bedroll somewhere while I'm traveling to the Winters Hunt, and used it for all types of different purposes while I'm in the hunting camp. So now the smaller things that I have on my body, actually, I have just a French trade knife here. The Creeks were prominent in wearing neck knives, and this is just a smaller French trade knife. I have my tobacco pouch, like this stated in the Bossou cloak. I have my trade mirror, which was a prominent trade item. The Creeks loved to have a mirror on them so they could put their face paint on, or they could see what they looked like. The next thing that I want to show you that I have on me is probably my favorite. It's my otter hide pouch. And then I have a small painted pouch here that I keep my fishing set in. Being and traveling around the rivers, if the deer hunting wasn't the best, I could feel like the Creeks would, drop a line over in the Alabama River and catch them some spotted bass and have that to eat while they're on their hunt. But I keep this fishing set right here on me, and in my pouch I've got some shot. I've got some gun cleaning oil, and I have a flint. I actually have a couple of flints in here. But the Creeks, they were hunting for months, from October to February. So they had to have, abundant shot and abundant flints because of all of the hunting that they were doing. The next thing that's accompanied with my otter hide pouch is my buffalo horn. I think you've seen it in a couple other videos, but I think this horn was done by Alec Foreman. He does great work, but this horn was done by him, and it fits me perfect. It's a perfect right side carry horn, and the buffalo horns were super prominent with the Creeks and the Cherokees as well. Their arms and ammunition consist of a rifle, a buffalo horn for powder strung across the shoulder, and a small skin sack in which to keep bullets, flints, and wad extractor. In the next video of Along the Wolf Trail, you're gonna see me and Caleb travel about 3 hours and 30 minutes north. We're gonna be on the Tallapoosa River at the Horseshoe Bend. The Horseshoe Bend is one of my favorite places to go, not only because of how beautiful the park is, but how rich in history it is, especially my family's history. My fourth great-grandfather served there under Gideon Morgan, and he was on the opposite side of the Tallapoosa River firing down on the Creeks that were trying to escape in the river. So it's a really beautiful but solemn place to go, and I look forward to it each year, and being able to take Caleb up there for the first time this year is going to be really cool. So we're going to do a sort of a virtual tour of the Horseshoe and the site itself, and we're going to do some event coverage as well, so you guys will be able to be a part of it even if you're not there. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and I hope y'all are enjoying the channel. So we'll see y'all next week at the Horseshoe Bend.